All right, here is a very nice up-tempo 2-5-1 lick from Emily Remler, and she is doing this over the tune Del Sasser. It's the bridge when we go from B flat minor, E flat, A flat, so 2-5-1 to A flat major. And it has a couple of really cool things going on. It has some nice chromaticism over the 2 chord, and it also has a cool melodic minor lick going on over the 5 chord. Not typically where we would expect it though, where you go up a half step. It's actually a whole step down. So she's using melodic minor starting on the flatted 7th of the dominant chord, which gives it a really cool suspended sort of sound. So we'll get into the theory of that in a little bit. But it starts out with a little anticipation on beat 4. These 2 notes on 4 and it does G flat with your middle finger and then ring finger on E flat. And then once we hit the F note, that's the start of the B flat minor chord. So if we look at these first 2 notes and we think of that in relation to the B flat minor chord, I would say that what she's doing here, because if you look at this G flat, it's the flatted 6 against B flat minor, which is not typically a note that we encounter when we're playing over minor. So I would say that she's actually thinking F7 flat 9. She's doing a little she's approaching the 2 chord by playing the 5 of that chord. So the 5 of B flat minor is F7, right? So I would say that she's doing it, because once we get to that sound right there, right, you can definitely very clearly hear that it's going to B flat minor. So I would say that line sort of has that sound. So that's something that you can do anytime you have a 2 chord coming up for a 2-5-1. You can always target it by playing the 5 chord of wherever you're going to, right? Right? So like all these different ways of kind of just creating some movement going into the 2 chord. So I would say that's what she's doing with those first 2 notes. Then once we get to this F right here, she does a chromatic from F all the way down to D flat. So intervallically, that's our 5th, going chromatic all the way down to our flatted 3rd. So the fingering that I'm doing for this, and because of how fast this line is, this fingering seemed to make it the easiest to execute it fast. Pointer finger on F, ring finger on E, middle finger on E flat, pointer finger on D, and then just slide it down a fret to D flat. Okay? So far we have, almost kind of sounds like Flight of the Bumblebee. Right, kind of almost like a little piece of that. And the way we finish off our B flat minor lick is we, after the D flat, put our ring finger on E flat, pointer finger on F, and pinky on A flat. So right there she does flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. So over the 2 chord we have that little approach from the 5, chromatic from the 5th down to the flatted 3rd, and then just go up 4, 5, flat 7. Now right here is where we get into this melodic minor thing that I was talking about. So the line that she plays over the E flat 7 chord, she goes. So if we look at all of those notes, they all line up in D flat melodic minor. Now, what's interesting about that is typically when we're taught how to use melodic minor over dominant 7 chords, the most obvious example is going up a half step and playing melodic minor, right? So E melodic minor over E flat 7 gives you the altered scale, right? But there are some other spots where you can also use melodic minor aside from the half step higher, one of them being a whole step below. So if E flat 7 is the dominant chord, you go down a whole step and play D flat melodic minor. You get this really interesting, almost like a suspended sound. So like if you look at the notes of D flat melodic minor in relation to E flat, we have our flatted 7th, root, flat 9, flat 3 or sharp 9, whatever you prefer to call that, 4, right, that gives us the sus sound, the 5th, natural 6, and then flatted 7th. So you get this interesting combination of some diatonic, like natural 6, and the natural 4 for the suspended, but then you also get the flat 9 and then the sharp 9, no 3rd, so it's not clearly defined as it has more of that suspended sound like I was saying. But another really cool little way to kind of experiment with getting some new sounds over dominant 7 chords, go down a whole step and play melodic minor. So now the next part for our E flat 7 chord, we start with our ring finger on C and then pointer finger on B flat. Ring finger up on E flat, pointer finger on D flat, slide it down a fret to C. Then ring finger on B flat, pointer finger on A flat, and then pointer finger on E, slide down a fret to E flat. So, and then once we land on that E flat, that's the start of the A flat major chord. So we land on the 5. So, like I said, all of those notes are straight out of D flat melodic minor. You could really see it right here. Right, that whole little set of notes that she's playing around in gives you that. Right. So now up to this point we have. All right, and now over our A flat major chord, she starts on E flat, which is our 5th, and we do is chromatic to the 3rd. So we put our pinky on D flat, pointer finger on B flat, middle finger on B, ring finger on C. So that's, and I hammer on from the B to C. So if you look at that A flat major chord, right, we're landing on the C. So these notes right here, I would call that chromatic from 1 above and then 2 below, right? Because the note we're landing on is C. We start 1 note above it, and then we do 2 chromatic notes below. So that's a big part of what chromaticism is in jazz, is taking a note that you want to land on and figuring out different ways to surround it with chromaticism. So, and then pointer finger on E flat, ring finger on F, pointer finger on G. I think I picked those. And then A flat twice with your middle finger, and then G twice. Okay, so the line's slow a few times. 1, 2, 3. A little faster. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, so a lot of really great stuff going on there. We talked about how she was approaching the 2 chord by playing the 5 dominant, right, to get to the 2 chord, and then how you can utilize melodic minor a whole step below the dominant chord using D flat melodic minor over the E flat 7 chord, and also just some nice, bebop chromaticism over the 1 chord approaching the 3rd. And yeah, that's it. I'm glad I was able to find a cool Emily Remler lick. She's been a big influence of mine since I was in high school, so I've always been a huge fan of her playing. And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the lick for this week, and I hope you learned something. And if you would like to donate and support the channel, you can do so at patreon.com/MikeGaudetteMusic. And that's our episode for this week. I will see you guys at the next episode. Take care.